Hey, how's it going, everyone? It is Drake out. With it being Spooktober, it is once again time to rank another horror franchise since it's become an annual thing. And this time we're going to be going over the Scream movies. Literally all of these are insanely good. They have a pretty high bar of quality throughout this whole franchise. So let's just start off with my rankings. So we're going to go from worst to best. At number 6, I'm giving it to Scream 5. Now, obviously, this movie kind of rehashes a lot of the first movie, but I just think a lot of the stuff that happens, like in the hospital and between the sisters in that movie, I don't know, the relationship just wasn't developed particularly in that movie. Like Scream 6, I think their relationship's a lot better, and then I actually genuinely like them, but in Scream 5, I really don't like it. So at number 5, I have Scream 4. This movie I think has a lot of the same problems as Scream 5, aka trying to remake the first movie. But just there's a lot of weird choices in this movie, aka like the coloring. This movie is one of the weirdest colored movies I think I've ever seen. Generally, I do like a lot of the cast in this, like Kirby, she's really fun. And genuinely the ending, if you actually would have had it like a Ghostface kind of wins at the end and have one continue into another movie, I think that could have been so cool and made this movie go up in ranks for me. So at number 4, I have Scream 6. This movie kind of has the opposite of Scream 5 for me, toward the Scream 5 characters, they are more fleshed out in Scream 6 to the point that I just really like them then. Particularly the sisters, I don't really love them in Scream 5, but I actually really like them in this movie because they're more fleshed out. Now, obviously, the ending of this is very much a rehash of Scream 2. I do like the setting of it, and they did try and do something different with multiple Ghostface. I think this movie could have went up even more in points if they actually committed to the opening of this movie and had the identity of a Ghostface within like the first 5 minutes of the movie, so the whole movie who Ghostface is, and you could actually have it still be a mystery for who are the other Ghostfaces besides this guy. I think that could have been such an interesting twist to have, but they sadly didn't commit to that. At number 3, I have Scream 3. Yes, this movie had a ton of problems, and yes, it was rewritten quite a bit. But honestly, this movie is kind of ahead of its time, and I just think there's so many entertaining bits of this whole movie, even though it is kind of a mess with the whole Ghostface at the end, and was there multiple, was there not? This movie just honestly has a certain charm to it that I think honestly got better with time, and I actually just really enjoyed it. And I think just a lot of the performances here add to that as to why it's so enjoyable. And also, I just kind of like the whole movie setting for this movie, and it's kind of, I guess, meta in that aspect. So at number 2, I have Scream 2, and I think this movie also just builds off of Scream 1 so well, and I think it does feel like a genuine next progression of things, and I think also the cast of characters that they introduce in here were also insanely good. There's some actual genuinely sad moments in this, like Sydney's boyfriend dying. Like, he was super nice throughout the whole movie, and it's just kind of sad to see him have such a dark fate. And finally, at number 1 is the very first Scream, which, big shocker there that the best movie in this franchise is the first. Obviously, this movie set quite the tone that this whole franchise has followed and really hasn't swayed from it too much. Obviously, the open and kill of this movie is super iconic, and the rest of the series also kind of followed that format. And generally, just pretty much everyone in this movie is great. Like, they were perfectly cast in their roles, and they're really likable, and you can get behind all of them. And actually, generally, there is a very good mystery element to this, to where, honestly, if you weren't really paying attention and stuff, you could think other people are the killers. And I think this movie masqueraded it pretty well, because other movies have made it pretty darn obvious as to who could be the killer, but this movie did a pretty good job of making pretty much everyone suspicious. And obviously the two Ghostface in this movie are probably the most memorable Ghostfaces out of all of them. and it's pretty much iconic for a reason, and that's why it is my number one pick. So what are your guys' rankings? Leave in the comments below. Hope you guys have a happy Spooktober. Thank you for watching, and this is Drago, signing out.